ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, time is here. That's right, we're talking Friday the 13th. Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you from the West Coast. Not as close to Camp Crystal Lake as I'd like, but that's okay. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. And we're going to unpack all of the gory details of Friday the 13th in hopes that Camp Counselor's untimely end's just the beginning of the jokes that we can make about them. And as always, there's only one person that I trust to help me push that arrow through an entire bed to get to somebody's neck. The one and the only Gina Radcliffe. How you doing, Gina?
I am well. How are you?
I'm excellent today because we've gotten to probably the most iconic section of Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. This is where this movie makes its bones. This is where we get to see the magic tricks happen in camera. It's the reason it was made in the first place. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely if you've only ever seen this movie once, this is the part you'll remember.
It's so iconic that recently in an Eggs with Kevin Bacon, it's him in four different versions of himself. And one of them is in a brown tank top with an arrow coming through him. Now it's through his chest, not through his neck, because that makes it hard to talk. So it automatically discounts it. But it was so iconic that amongst, his Apollo 13 costume and his Footloose version of himself, here is Friday the 13th, Kevin Bacon. I've heard him talk loosely about it, that he was a Broadway actor, that it, like all of these kids kind of came out of Broadway auditions.
I mean, I would definitely say that other than Crispin Glover, he's probably the sole actor. Well, wait, no. I mean, one of the later movies wasn't the Supernatural guy, Padalecki. He was in one of them. But was he already in Supernatural in that?
He would have been on Gilmore Girls, certainly, before this. And he might have just started Supernatural around that time.
Kevin Bacon is probably the only actor other than Crispin Glover that came away from these movies with any sort of discernible career after this, which is funny because I cannot remember anything else he does in this movie up until his death scene. He pretty much leaves about as much of an impression as he did in Animal House, just sort of standing around looking vaguely uncomfortable.
He's not asked to do very much. He's attached at the hip to Marcy.
Yeah, I mean, his main contribution is his rear end in like a full screen shot. And I remember years ago watching this movie with a roommate of mine and him saying to me, imagine being Kevin Bacon and going to like the theatrical premiere of this with like his friends and family, and then just like this shot of his rear end just across a full screen movie screen. Are you proud of that, or do you get up and go get your popcorn refill before that?
That is a good question.
It probably is actually him because they likely could not afford a body double.
No. And considering the swimsuits they wear earlier, not very much is left to the imagination. In this particular sequence, we have a group that's off in a cabin playing strip Monopoly. Which should take about 3 days in real life. So it's either over very quickly or would take forever. And then we have Marcy and Jack who've absconded off to a cabin, and they're making love below a corpse that's bleeding on them. Marcy gets up to pee, and then Jack states quite loudly, "Well, hurry up because I'm cold," and then puts on the world's thinnest t-shirt.
It's not even it's a tank top. This is the only scrap of clothing. No blankets or anything. I realize it's the middle of summer, but it's a camp. They should have. They're probably going to be one of those scratchy Army Navy blankets, but they're going to have blankets somewhere.
That's what's draped up to his nipple level. To hide the makeup appliance. They've given him this line so that they can set up the dummy he's going to lay underneath. He yanks out a J and lights it up. Another thing you don't want to do when you're cold. Have you ever smoked weed when you're cold?
No.
Okay. It's not a cure for a temperature. It just really isn't. Whereas alcohol will bring out, you'll expel a bunch of heat. Weed it makes everything worse. So I don't think he's cold. I think that's a scam. I think he should be ashamed of himself.
Between the sex and the marijuana and the lying about being cold, I mean, they're just being set up as someone that clearly needs to be punished, and he is about to be severely punished.
So let us get to that. He takes a hit, he flicks off the cherry off the end of his joint, and he gets tapped on the forehead with a droplet of blood. And before he can discern exactly what is happening here, an arrow protrudes through his neck. Now he's lying down, and so it comes through the back of him.
Yeah, yes. I have a little trouble with the logistics of, and I realize in later movies the deaths get a little more implausible, let's say. But I mean, for one thing, the hand that comes up on his forehead, that's very obviously a gentleman's hand. I mean,
it's a Greek gentleman's hand.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that is not an older woman's hand. And I don't know if at that point they were...
It's not genderless, let's put it that way.
No. And I'm not sure at that time that if they hadn't decided yet that it was going to be Mrs. Voorhees. I mean, because, it could have, Betsy Palmer could have laid under the bed, put her hand up on his forehead. I mean, it was just obviously no one was literally jamming an arrow through the back of his neck, but you have to put an arrow, and presumably it was something they grabbed from the archery range and somehow managed to shove it hard enough through a layer of mattress, a layer of springs, and the back of someone's neck. And
you have a spinal column in the way too.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that the minute it pokes the back of his neck, he's going to be, leaping up. How does she know where to put it? How would she know where to put her hand?
Her right hand that comes up she's using that as a guide. But imagine the forearm strength it takes because that bed's only, 8 inches off the ground?
Exactly.
So it's not like she's on the other end of that arrow. She's only got one hand to do this.
Right.
Because the other one is holding his forehead down. So yes, you're right. Through mattress, through springs, through his spinal column, through the rest of his throat, all with one arm. Man, she is jacked. She is jacked.
I mean, I can only assume it's from years of, cutting wood and doing general labor at a summer camp, but it's still a little, I'm not sure how that would work. And it's not even like it just comes up through his neck. It's like slowly pushed through. and obviously that is for gruesome effect. He's just laying there, there's a thing poking at the back of my neck. Perhaps it's a mosquito. It's bad enough he just laying there and, there's stuff dripping on them. They don't even notice. I mean, I live in New York. Anything drips on me, I immediately move out of the way. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to be. I hope it's an air conditioner. It could be someone urinating out of a window. So, and if I'm laying in like a cabin, this could be bird shit. It could be, a raccoon foaming at the mouth, and you're just going to lay there and I'm okay with this. This is fine. It's probably a little rainwater.
Yeah, it comes out so slow. You learn, if you research it enough, the gag didn't quite work. The reason that the blood spurts after the arrows all the way through is because there was a clog in the tube. Someone else is blowing through it, so it kind of finally gives a blurt. But I will say, only because I have the Blu-ray freeze framed right now, the hand that's laying on top of his forehead right now looks more feminine than Mrs. Voorhees' hand when she's searching for her head after her head's been
really.
Yes, it does not quite have the level of Greek knuckle hair that hand has. But none of this was meant for some dummy to to freeze on a 4K Blu-ray transfer. No one in their right mind thought that would ever happen. For what it is, I think it's a pretty nifty trick. It doesn't make a damn bit of sense, but it is unexpected. You would not, like the Spanish Inquisition, you do not expect someone to get arrowed through the back of the neck while lying supine on a cot.
If you don't know that it's coming, it's startling. If you do know it's coming, it's funny. It really is. It's just kind of funny. And because again, it's like, I don't even know how that's possible. Come on now. That just goes completely off the rails later. Every death after a certain point is just completely implausible and ridiculous and wonderful. Yes. And this is in my top 3. The other 2 we haven't gotten to yet.
I think poor Jack doesn't get a lot of play as a character. I mean,
nobody really does in this movie.
If it was not played by Kevin Bacon, I don't know that it would be as special.
Did he even have any dialogue other than "Hurry up, I'm cold"?
There's sections with him and Ned and Marcy bouncing around and their odd dynamic. He's one of the kids. He's never portrayed as a red herring at any point. So that's not an issue because he's constantly running around with Marcy. He's kind of instantly discounted. They only exist as a unit.
Right.
Yeah, he's just kind of grist for the mill. He's just given a pretty exciting send-off for this movie, and that leads us to our 1-2 punch of Marcy, who has gone off to pee, goes to this outhouse, and proceeds to have what could only be described as an actor's workshop of monologuing, talking to herself, characters, interacting with nothing. It just, and then she does the one thing, like the amazing trend that you found last time with our Judaic tricksters, which really was an eye-opener. We have yet another trope within the Friday the 13th universe. That is people who are in their 20s doing impersonations of 30s and 40s movie stars.
Oh, yes, you're right.
For no reason. I don't know if maybe is because we are both too young to have been this age at this time where they were inundated with a lot of 30s and 40s movies on TV. Is that the excuse? The only reason I know that's an impersonation of somebody is because I watched too much Bugs Bunny. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that she was going for something there. But at least Bugs Bunny, he was doing something that was contemporary. She is just doing an impersonation of someone whom, to be honest with you, I don't know. I was supposed to look it up and I didn't. And I'm kind of okay with it because if I can't tell who that is, it can't be that great of an impersonation.
It would be great if they just did a straight remake and then had someone, singing I don't know, Strawberry Alarm Clock or something like that. Just some relatively obscure musician from the 60s. And
so totally out of step with their own generation.
She's just entertaining herself, I guess, which is nobody in a movie when they're by themselves ever acts like people really do when they're by themselves. When they're by themselves, you talk to yourself, you sing to yourself, you just get a little, I'm saying I don't do this. I do this.
No, you can accuse me. It's fine.
You entertain yourself. Kind of boring and lonely walking around a silent house by yourself. So, now I don't know if I'm going around imitating, Eddie Cantor or Al Jolson or, saying, hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. I might I might do that, but only because Michigan J. Frog. So,
which again would be a reference to something from the 40s.
Right. So but you pick up the chicken, you do the little dance the legs. I may have said too much.
Well, I know that I won't be having chicken when I'm over at the house because I live right next to you. We have Marcy searching about the outhouse or women's restroom area, and a little bit of cat and mouse game with a person wearing the world's thickest boots ever. We've seen these boots before. We're reestablishing the boots. She checks some showers. They're empty. Turns around and immediately crumbles. She doesn't know who this person is. She sees a person who we will learn later is Mrs. Voorhees.
Right.
With a hatchet. And she just doesn't, there's no fight in her. There's no attempt to escape.
Yeah, she's just like,
hell no, I won't die.
Right. She's just like, oh, I've had a good run. Flang.
Yeah, I went out on a high. I totally went to the bone zone with Kevin Bacon in his 80s prime. So I guess I'm okay checking out. The hatchet comes up and hits the light source in either an homage to Psycho, or they're just establishing that it's a hatchet.
Or they accidentally hit the lamp while filming it.
Well, it's its own shot, so they set it up to do this.
Oh, okay.
It's not like it's continuous. It's its own shot. We see it swing back down, and then she comes into frame from the right side with the hatchet appliance straight into her left eye, and she's gone.
That's a good one too. It's not over the top that it becomes laughable again, like later deaths in the series do.
Yes.
It's just it's quick, it's startling, it's pretty brutal. I have to wonder if Mrs. Voorhees had the hatchet under the bed with her, or did she just happen to have one carefully placed where she could just grab it on her way out, like you would grab your keys leaving the house in the morning, or I mean.
She may have laced the environment of Camp Crystal Lake with weapons for herself. She does seem rather crafty. Certainly Jason does not lay that many traps, or he does, I think, maybe in our next film. He
really just kind of relied largely on whatever happened to be sitting around, or his bare hands after a certain point. So
most people don't realize how much of their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions pulling details about you from public records and the internet, then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, and even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it together at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/secure. Protect yourself now at aura.com/secure.
Because, he has the strength to do that. He starts off as a rather slight, starving to death, crazy mutant from the forest, and then becomes the Incredible Hulk with a hockey mask on. So he is physically intimidating. She, although that cable knit sweater does bulk her up quite a bit.
And apparently she is, strong enough to shove an arrow, through an entire bed and through someone's entire spinal column. So lady's got some brawn.
She's got some brawn, or she's running off a psycho strength. Who knows what it is? That sort of rush of adrenaline that allows a mother to pull a car off of their baby. As we were constantly told in the 70s, this was something that happened. And yet, since then, I can't say that I've heard very much about it. That was the realm of that's incredible and real people, where they would say stories like that. And now with camera phones, like UFOs, this is a phenomena that does not exist. Otherwise, we would see evidence of it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that is something that my mother's friends' college roommate swears that something like this happened, and no one's ever witnessed it. No one's ever had a personal story.
So she gets a hatchet to the face, and then we are off of her, and we see Brenda and friends breaking up their stoned strip Monopoly game. This is right after Alice has literally lost her shirt, and then the lights go out. Mrs. Voorhees, I guess, has turned off the power or interrupted the power at the very least. And here is, I think, the line of the movie for me in terms of question marks that I have. This is the biggest one. Okay. So here's Brenda. She's the tallest girl She's the most athletic. She is the strongest. When someone pretends to drown, she passes everyone else in a dead sprint like they're standing still. Brenda is the most intimidating threat in this entire movie from the counselor side.
Yeah, I would agree.
She is the most physically capable. They don't worry about whether or not she comes off as feminine or not, or anything along those lines. The windows are blown out by the storm.
Oh, right.
And the money goes everywhere. So Brenda, let's get to the meat of this. Brenda turns and goes, "Oh, that's a shame." And then she turns directly to Alice and says, "Right when it was getting interesting." She doesn't say that to the guy. She says that to Alice. I think she's bi.
That's possible.
Or a lesbian. Either perfectly acceptable answers to me, the white cis guy. But that to me says, oh, we were about to get stoned and have sex. All three of us. And this is the only thing that stopped it.
Because apparently everybody just came to this camp not to work, but to engage in a lot of marijuana smoking, a lot of sex with each other. I would imagine that the working at a summer camp experience might have some of that. I mean, I was a camp attendant as a child. I never worked at a camp, but I mean, it seems at some point you probably should start working on actually getting the camp ready to open.
Well, you can't really do that in the middle of a storm. I'll give you that.
Well, fair enough.
When storm clouds come in and it's in the middle of the night, that is your prime time for the bone zone. That I'm perfectly okay with. They've been left to their own devices. But I just find this moment exhilarating. Like it's this completely unexpected moment from a movie that you primarily view through the lens of it being an 80s movie, even though it was filmed in like 79. And it's much more loose. And none of the sex in here is really, with the exception of the opening section, where the two counselors, when we flash back, when they get it, that sort of sex is considered, oh, you can tell that they feel they're doing something wrong.
Right.
Nobody in this group feels they're doing something wrong.
Curious if that's supposed to, if one is supposed to believe that further enrages Mrs. Voorhees, because these 70s kids are so much more, free and open with their with their bad behavior that they must pay.
I think if the camp opens, she's going to go in there and try to shut it down, and that's really her mission. Well, let's discuss her motivations when we get to her. Okay. So because that will be a discussion unto itself. So Brenda goes off. She puts on the world's most 70s nightgown of cotton.
It's like the Carrie nightgown.
Yeah, it's very white and plain with a little bit of frill going on and some needlepoint action to it. It's not sexy. Well, she doesn't need to be sexy for me. That's really rude. That's unfortunate. She doesn't need to sex it up for me.
You have full screen shot of Kevin Bacon. I was going to say Kevin Costner. Kevin Bacon's butt. I mean, it's pretty much all downhill from there as far as the sexiness is concerned. It's reached the peak level at that point and just quickly plummets after that.
So that's when the lights go out and she dons her the green raincoat to try to bring the lights back on, and she hears a whisper as she's doing this. This is the other element where Mrs. Voorhees is a thinker. Like she's crafty, because this is where you hear the help me, and it sounds like a little girl. Now she has witnessed Brenda try to rescue somebody who was pretending to drown earlier and saw that she was the one who ran the fastest. So she's luring Brenda, knowing that she's the type of person who won't just sit in her bed and read. She's going to go out into the middle of the rain if she thinks that somebody needs help.
Yeah, but why would, if she's doing like a little girl voice, do you think Brenda just kind of has a sort of just immediate lock and loaded mindset where it's not going to occur to her? Why would there be a child just wandering around in the middle of the night in this unopened summer camp?
I think that she's the kind that up until now has not let someone else's prank stop her from examining something. She's not afraid of these people. She's not intimidated by any of the guys or the girls. She's kind of her own person. This is what makes her. I'm building up Brenda, but I'm telling you, Brenda is the best character in Friday the 13th.
She's definitely the unsung. You can't really call her the heroine because she didn't make it, but she's definitely an underrated character.
I think what they may have been trying to do somewhat is give the audience some doubt that Alice would be our final girl. That they were trying to set her up in the same way PJ Souls is set up in Halloween as the person you become more attuned to. Like, oh, I like her. I hope she doesn't die.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of similarities between Alice and Laurie from Halloween. They're both a little meek. They're both kind of virginal, let's say it.
No, I was just going to say that we know that Alice isn't a virgin. She's sleeping with the owner of the camp, and he's begging to get back in with her. And she's like, you know what? I've been there and done that, and we'll discuss this at another time.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But still, I mean, there's a lot of similarities there. I think they're definitely we're trying to go for that type when they cast her, for sure. So Brenda wanders off searching for this voice. She ends up at the archery, a word that I had a great amount of trouble recalling earlier. And then lights are turned on. She's surprised, and the screen goes blank, and we don't know what happens to her. Later, during the mayhem, we get to witness what may or may not have happened to Brenda, because we get a defenestration where she's thrown through a window at Alice. Again, Brenda, no small fry, probably the tallest person in the camp, just thrown willy-nilly through a window. She's wrapped in ropes. Yeah, your face looks bloody, but it still doesn't really give you any kind of idea of what happened to her. Yeah. Just that it involved a lot of ropes. I'm wondering now if there was a different death set up for her, and just they could not get it to work, so they're like, fuck it, just throw her through a window. And it's just it is a little weird how you get like no idea what happened to her. Not as weird as the guy in part 2 who just sort of disappears entirely. Yeah, it's interesting to try to ponder what her original death might have originally been. What might have happened to her.
Well, one assumes that she was set up to be shot with arrows, because there's the gag earlier in the film where Bill, Harry Cosby's character, surprises her with an arrow. She's kind of lured again to the archery center, and he shoots an arrow right in front of her.
That's always fun to do.
Right. So later, Harry shows up, and he's got a face full of arrows. But why would? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm calling you out on the carpet.
Now, see, if you go to horror.wikia.com, it does say Brenda hit with arrow, thrown through window, tied with a rope. So apparently an arrow was involved in her death at some point in time.
If you got a weapon of choice here, Mrs. Voorhees goes for the knife first, just a regular old hunting knife, and arrow second, because she has dispatched 3 people with an arrow in this entire movie.
Maybe she shoots Brenda with an arrow, and Brenda just kind of just pulls it right out, and or does a thing where she breaks it off and and starts immediately putting a tourniquet on, and Mrs. Voorhees like, oh shit, and then decides she has to none of the rest of them went this hard, and
she's like the T-1000. She just yanks that arrow out and starts to see with her ears as to where Mrs. Voorhees is. She's intimidated. She's got to take care of her from a distance. Otherwise, Brenda would fuck up Mrs. Voorhees' shit. I'm
exactly.
Okay. Well, this brings us to would you rather. So, would you rather die from an arrow being pushed through the back of your neck, a hatchet to your face, or arrow / defenestration / roping?
I'm going to have to say axe in the face, because it's the quickest death. I mean, we don't really know how long it took Brenda to die. And, Jack, I mean, I can't imagine that's just as implausible a death as it is. It's still kind of like,
yeah.
So, I mean, at least, you get an axe in the face and takes out one of your eyes. You're checking out pretty quickly. And I'm a huge wimp. So the faster I can go, the better. So I'm going to have to take the axe in the face.
I am going to back your play here. I would rather get a hatchet to the face than an arrow through any part of my body. I think your body would shut down. It would hit part of your brain, and everyone would go, you know what? See you later, kids. And you just drop to the ground. Part of me believes that Marcy is half dead, but just by looking at Mrs. Voorhees, the way she reacts. So she already knows that she's going bye-bye.
Yeah. I think her heart is just seizing up at that moment in time. I mean, so she might have already been dead by the time the axe hit her. And maybe she had a heart condition. We don't know. She was obviously, not at all. It's the kind of the opposite of Brenda. I think Brenda, would have stopped the axe with her hand and said what are you kidding me with this? This is not proper hatchet safety. Knocked out of her hand like when Aragorn manages to knock the dagger flying in his face out of the way. And I think that's how it would have played out if it had been Brenda in the outhouse instead of Marcy.
All right. Well, this has been so fantastic. I can't wait to do it again. Thank you once again, Gina. Do you want to tell everybody where people can find you?
Well, I in keeping with my obsession of things in my childhood, like amusingly terrible slasher movies, I write about 70s and 80s television at I have a WordPress site. It's tuneintonight.wordpress.com, and there's also a Tumblr feed. It's also tuneintonight.tumblr.com. I also have a Twitter feed for it, which I hardly ever update because Twitter is a dumpster fire. So I suggest going to the website instead.
Especially when it's content. It's not like you're delivering content over Twitter. All right.
No, not really.
No, please, everyone, you should check it out. It's fantastic stuff. It's incredibly unique and will either bring you back to a time or expose you to something you never knew existed. You can reach out to us. We have a Gmail. It's killbyKillpod@gmail.com. We also have the Kill by Kill Tumblr. If you have questions, you have comments, please let us know. We'd love to hear back from you about what you think of the show, what you think about us, maybe some wonderfully, snipey ways of critiquing our speaking voices, stuff like that. What the internet was built for. Also, don't tell us that the storm blew out the windows. We corrected ourselves there. Self-correcting. We're coming at this as enthusiasts, not experts. All right, everybody. Until next time, when the body count continues, for myself and for Gina Radcliffe, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Kill by Kill is produced by We Write Good and is intended for entertainment purposes only. Friday the 13th is owned by Paramount Pictures. Jason is owned by New Line Cinema. No infringement is intended. Kill by Kill logo was designed by Josh Hollis. Visit him at joshhollis.com. The Kill by Kill theme was created exclusively for us by Revenge Body. Get the whole track and much, much more at revengebodymemphis.bandcamp.com today.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.